A home is more than walls, windows, and a roof. A home is the place where the heart learns to trust, where the spirit finds rest, and where the soul discovers peace that the world cannot give. And when you invite God into that space, not just as a visitor, but as the foundation, everything changes. The atmosphere shifts, the burdens lighten. The very air begins to carry the fragrance of His presence. Today, let your heart open wide as you receive a blessing meant to cover every corner of your dwelling, every room that has known both laughter and tears, every moment that has unfolded under your roof. May the Lord enter your home with power, not quietly or timidly, but with the strength that calms storms and the authority that breaks chains. May His peace settle over you like a gentle morning mist, filling the rooms where anxiety once whispered and worry once lingered. May every doorway be guarded by His protection, every window shielded by His grace, and every wall fortified by His unshakable promises. May this be a house where no darkness can dwell, where the light of God exposes every fear and drives it out completely. I pray that your home becomes a refuge, a sanctuary where hope is restored daily. When you wake, may you sense the nearness of God before your feet touch the floor. When you lie down, may you feel His arms wrap around you like a warm blanket on a cold night. May joy rise here, joy that isn't dependent on circumstances, joy that springs from knowing the one who holds every detail of your life. May every conversation that takes place in your home be seasoned with grace. May forgiveness find a permanent place at your table. May love echo through your halls in the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you serve one another. And may the Lord bless not only the structure of your home, but the hearts of every person who walks through it, family, friend, or stranger. I pray that the presence of God will rest so heavily upon your home that anyone who enters will feel peace before a word is spoken. May burdens be lifted at your doorstep. May broken hearts be mended in your living room. May miracles unfold in quiet moments when no one is watching but God Himself. May your home be a beacon of hope in a weary world, shining with the light of His love, strength, and endless faithfulness. Here are 5 meaningful keynotes that capture the heart of the speech. A home becomes truly transformed when God is invited in as its foundation, bringing peace, strength, and spiritual covering. God's presence brings protection, guarding every doorway, window, and room with His power, grace, and unshakable promises. A blessed home becomes a sanctuary where fear is driven out, hope is restored, and joy rises independent of circumstances. Love, forgiveness, and grace should shape every interaction within the home, creating an atmosphere that reflects God's heart. A God-filled home becomes a beacon of peace to everyone who enters, a place where burdens are lifted, hearts are healed, and miracles unfold. When a home becomes more than a structure and begins to reflect the presence of God, everything within it is touched by a quiet but undeniable transformation. Inviting God in as the foundation is not simply a spiritual gesture, it is the act of surrendering your most personal space to the one who knows how to fill it with peace, order, and purpose. When you open your door to Him, He does not come in as a guest who stays for a moment and leaves. He enters as the architect of your peace, the protector of your family, and the anchor for every storm you will ever face. His presence becomes the unseen pillar holding everything steady, even when life feels uncertain. The world outside may shake, but a home built upon God cannot be easily moved. When God becomes the center of a home, His peace settles deep into the atmosphere. It is not a fragile peace dependent on circumstances. It is a supernatural calm that flows from knowing that the one who commands the winds and waves is also guarding your household. Anxiety cannot thrive in the presence of the one who speaks peace into storms. Worry loses its grip when you realize that God Himself stands watch over your family, your future, and your well-being. Even in the moments when life feels heavy, His presence becomes a reminder that you are never carrying your burdens alone. He walks your halls, He watches over your children, and He fills your nights with rest instead of fear. The strength God brings into a home is not loud or forceful. It is steady, consistent, unwavering. It becomes the strength that holds a family together during seasons of trial. It becomes the strength that helps you forgive when forgiveness feels impossible. It becomes the strength that allows you to speak life instead of anger, patience instead of frustration, hope instead of despair. His strength flows into every conversation, every decision, and every moment when weakness tries to take over. You begin to recognize that you do not withstand challenges by your own power, but by the one who stands beside you, holding your home upright. When God is the foundation of your home, you begin to see the physical space differently. Rooms that once felt ordinary become places where prayers rise, where hearts are healed, where dreams are born. The kitchen table becomes a place of thanksgiving. The living room becomes a place of peace. Even the quiet corners of your home become places where you feel God whispering reassurance to your heart. His presence fills the atmosphere so deeply that you begin to notice the absence of fear. The heaviness that once lingered starts to fade. The confusion that once clouded decisions becomes replaced with clarity. God brings harmony where there was once conflict, and unity where division tried to take root. And as He establishes Himself as the foundation, your home becomes a spiritual refuge, not only for you, but for everyone who enters. Friends who walk through your door feel comfort without understanding why. Family members who are hurting find rest even before they speak a word. Children begin to grow with a sense of security that comes from knowing they are enveloped in love that goes beyond human ability. Your home becomes an invitation to peace, a place where people feel restored, strengthened, and uplifted simply by being there. This transformation does not happen all at once. It happens as you continually choose to make God the center, the anchor, and the solid ground beneath your feet. When God's presence surrounds a home, His protection becomes more than a comforting idea. It becomes a covering that rests over every doorway, every window, and every room. It is a protection that does not weaken with time, does not depend on circumstances, and is not threatened by the storms that come against you. When His hand shields your home, no darkness can settle there, no fear can take root, and no weapon formed against your family can prosper. His protection is not like human protection, which depends on effort and ability. It is a divine safeguard built from His love, His authority, and His promise to watch over those who trust in Him. Every doorway of your home becomes a threshold guarded by His presence. Anyone who enters, whether friend or stranger, steps into a place marked by His peace. Harm cannot cross that threshold easily, because the one who watches over you neither sleeps nor slumbers. Every time you walk out of your home, He goes before you. Every time you return, He welcomes you with safety. The doors you lock at night may secure the physical space, but it is God's protection that secures the spiritual atmosphere, making it a place where peace reigns and fear has no voice. The windows of your home, which allow you to see the world and the world to see you, become points of blessing rather than vulnerability. God's grace becomes like a shield surrounding your dwelling, keeping away confusion, negativity, and spiritual heaviness that tries to enter unnoticed. His grace becomes the filter through which everything must pass. Even the things meant to unsettle you lose their strength when His hand is upon your home. Where others may feel overwhelmed by the pressures of life, you find yourself held steady because God's protection surrounds not just the physical structure, but everything connected to your life. The walls of your home, which have witnessed every moment, joyful, painful, quiet, and chaotic, become fortified by His promises. These promises are not like human promises that may fail or falter. They are eternal, unbroken, and backed by the power of the one who cannot lie. When God fortifies your home, it means no attack can break you, no season can shake you, and no pressure can crush the foundation upon which you stand. His promises become the strength behind every prayer, the anchor behind every hope, and the assurance behind every step forward. Inside your home, His protection fills the atmosphere like light filling a dark room. Fear loses its hiding places when His presence enters. Anxiety begins to dissolve because His peace takes up residence. Arguments begin to soften, confusion begins to clear, and tension begins to lift. You begin to feel a difference not only in the space around you, but in your own heart. Your thoughts become calmer, your emotions steadier, and your spirit more grounded. This is the power of a home protected by God. He does not just guard the structure, He guards the people, the emotions, the relationships, and the spiritual climate. Even in moments when you feel vulnerable or overwhelmed, His protection remains. You may not always see it, but you sense it. You may not always understand how He works, but you feel the peace He brings. Sometimes His protection comes in the form of closed doors, guiding you away from danger. Sometimes it comes in opportunities that open exactly when you need them. Sometimes it comes as a whisper in your spirit telling you that you are safe, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. His protection is constant, gentle, unshakable, and perfectly timed. And as He guards every part of your home, He also guards your heart. He reminds you that you are not alone, not abandoned, and not unprotected. His presence becomes the shield that surrounds you, the peace that rests upon you, and the assurance that follows you wherever you go. When God becomes the center of a home, something extraordinary begins to unfold deep within its walls. Fear, which once crept silently into the corners of your mind, begins to lose its power. Darkness that tried to linger in the atmosphere no longer has a place to settle. The presence of God pushes out everything that does not belong: worry, heaviness, discouragement, restlessness, and in their place rises a quiet, steady hope that cannot be shaken. This hope does not depend on circumstances, good days, or easy seasons. It comes from knowing that the one who dwells with you is greater than anything that stands against you. As His presence fills your home, joy begins to grow in places you didn't expect. It isn't the kind of joy that comes from temporary relief or fleeting moments of happiness. It is a joy that has depth, stability, and longevity. It is a joy that reaches into the most tired parts of your soul and revives what life has drained. Even on days when things go wrong, when plans fall apart, when challenges rise without warning, that inner joy remains like a light shining in the middle of a storm. You sense that no matter what happens, God is working behind the scenes, carrying you through, strengthening your spirit, and uplifting your heart. This transformation in the atmosphere of your home doesn't happen because all your problems suddenly disappear. It happens because God shifts the way you experience those moments. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel supported. Instead of falling into despair, you find yourself encouraged by a quiet whisper of hope. Instead of feeling alone, you sense His nearness with every breath. The heaviness that used to greet you at the door begins to fade, replaced by peace that follows you from room to room. Even your thoughts begin to change. Where negative voices once echoed, now God's truth rises stronger, reminding you that He is with you, He is for you, and He will not fail you. When a home is filled with God's presence, it becomes a place of renewal. Strength returns in ways you didn't know you needed. Your mind feels clearer, your emotions steadier, your heart more secure. It becomes easier to forgive, easier to hope, easier to believe. You begin to notice that you are reacting differently to situations that once stirred fear or frustration. This is the evidence of God's peace settling over you like a blanket unseen, yet undeniably felt. Every member of the household begins to experience the difference as well. Children sleep more peacefully. Relationships soften and heal. Conversations take on more patience and understanding. Even the atmosphere during difficult moments feels different, lighter, calmer, steadier. God's presence doesn't erase challenges, but it gives you the grace to face them with confidence. It becomes the quiet strength that carries your family through transitions, conflicts, and uncertainties. Hope becomes the foundation of everyday life. You wake up with expectation instead of dread. You begin to speak blessings instead of complaints. You look at your future with faith instead of fear. And when discouragement tries to return, the peace of God rises within you like a gentle reminder that what surrounds you is temporary, but the one who protects you is eternal. His peace becomes an anchor, His joy a source of strength, His presence a constant reminder that your home is not just a place to live, it is a place to be restored. As this transformation continues, your home begins to radiate something beautiful. Guests who visit may not understand why they feel unusually calm, but they sense something different. Burdens lift, worries soften, and hearts feel comforted simply by being in the environment. This is what happens when God fills a home. Hope is revived, joy becomes your strength, and peace becomes your atmosphere. The home becomes a sanctuary not just for you, but for everyone who enters, a place where light outshines darkness and where the presence of God brings rest to every soul. When love, forgiveness, and grace begin to fill a home, the entire atmosphere shifts in ways that can be felt long before they can be explained. These virtues are not simply pleasant ideas or moral habits, they are the living expression of God's heart flowing through everyday moments. When they take root in a household, even ordinary interactions become opportunities to reflect something divine. The tone of conversation softens, the sharp edges of misunderstandings become easier to navigate, and the space itself begins to feel safer, warmer, and more connected. This is what happens when the heart of God is allowed to shape the environment, guiding how you speak, how you respond, and how you treat one another. In a home shaped by love, people feel seen, valued, and accepted. Love is not just a feeling, it is a daily decision to consider others before yourself, to listen with patience, and to speak with kindness. It is the gentle strength that binds a family together in times of tension. Love doesn't erase challenges, but it gives you the ability to face them without tearing one another apart. It becomes the grounding force that reminds every person in the house that no matter how difficult the day has been, they still belong, they still matter, and they are still cherished. When love is present, unity flourishes, and even the toughest conversations become pathways toward growth rather than division. Forgiveness, too, becomes a necessary pillar of a blessed home. No family is perfect. Misunderstandings and mistakes happen. Words get spoken in frustration, actions fall short, and feelings get hurt. Without forgiveness, these small wounds accumulate like stones in the heart, creating barriers that separate one person from another. But when forgiveness becomes a normal, expected, and practiced part of daily life, healing flows more freely. It allows people to release bitterness before it becomes poison. It makes room for restoration, humility, and second chances. Forgiveness does not deny the hurt, it simply refuses to let the hurt define the relationship. And every time you forgive, you create a little more space for grace to work, shaping your home into a place where peace can flourish. Grace is the quiet miracle that fills in the spaces where love and forgiveness meet. It is the ability to offer kindness even when it isn't earned, understanding even when it isn't expected, and gentleness even when the situation feels tense. Grace is the cushion that protects relationships from the weight of judgment and the sharpness of disappointment. It teaches you to look beyond flaws and frustrations and see the heart behind the moment. When grace fills a home, people feel free to be honest, to grow, and to learn without fear of being rejected for their imperfections. It creates an atmosphere of trust, patience, and acceptance. When all three, love, forgiveness, and grace, begin to shape your home, something beautiful happens to the communication within it. Conversations become more thoughtful, arguments become less explosive. Instead of reacting from anger or insecurity, you begin responding from a place of compassion and understanding. You listen more deeply, speak more gently, and choose your words more carefully. You start to notice the emotional atmosphere and take responsibility for keeping it healthy. This is not because you are trying to be perfect, but because God's heart is shaping your own, guiding you to treat others the way He treats you. As these virtues spread throughout your home, every corner becomes touched by their influence. The dining table becomes a place of connection rather than conflict. The living room becomes a space where laughter grows and hearts open. Even the quiet spaces of your home begin to feel like a refuge, a place where mistakes can be acknowledged without fear, where emotions can be expressed without judgment, and where every person can rest knowing they are loved. And over time, the home becomes a reflection of God's character, a place where understanding replaces anger, where peace replaces tension, and where unity replaces division. It becomes a place where relationships are strengthened, hearts are softened, and families are drawn closer together through the power of love, the healing of forgiveness, and the beauty of grace. When God fills a home with His presence, it becomes more than a private dwelling. It becomes a place that radiates peace and comfort to everyone who steps inside. There is a noticeable shift in the atmosphere, something gentle yet powerful that people can feel even if they cannot explain it. A home touched by God's presence carries a sense of calm that settles the heart, quiets the mind, and lifts the spirit. It becomes a refuge for the weary, a place where burdens feel lighter the moment someone crosses the threshold. This is not because the house itself is extraordinary, but because the presence of God rests upon it, transforming it into a sanctuary of rest and renewal. When someone enters a home filled with God's peace, they often sense something different immediately. Their worries begin to soften, their thoughts slow down, and their heart feels a little safer. They may not know what changed, but they feel the difference. It is the invisible comfort of God wrapping around them, reaching into their heaviness and offering relief. In a world filled with noise, stress, and constant pressure, a peaceful home becomes a rare gift, one that speaks louder than words ever could. People are drawn to places where they feel valued and comforted, and a God-filled home becomes exactly that kind of place. A home full of God's presence becomes a space where burdens seem to lift without effort. Someone may walk in carrying emotional weight, silent fears, or hidden struggles, yet they find themselves breathing a little easier once inside. It might be the warmth of the environment, the genuine kindness of the people within, or simply the peace that resides there. But whatever it is, healing begins in ways that feel natural and unforced. This is how God works through a home, using ordinary surroundings to bring extraordinary comfort to hurting hearts. Healing doesn't always require loud declarations or dramatic moments. Sometimes it happens quietly, through peace that settles into the soul. Miracles also begin to unfold in such a place, sometimes in small, unseen ways, and sometimes in powerful, unforgettable moments. A discouraged person may find hope again. A broken relationship may take its first step toward restoration. Someone who felt lost may find clarity. A prayer whispered in desperation may receive an answer that changes everything. These miracles often unfold in simple settings, in living rooms, at kitchen tables, in quiet corners where tears fall freely and hearts open without fear. God meets people in these moments because His presence dwells in that home, turning everyday spaces into sacred ground. Even the family that lives in such a home experiences continual renewal. Arguments are softened by compassion. Tension is dissolved by prayer. Confusion is replaced with wisdom. Hearts feel lighter, and the atmosphere remains steady even when life becomes unpredictable. The home becomes a reminder that no matter what storms rage outside, there is peace inside that cannot be stolen. Children grow up feeling secure. Adults find strength for each day. Challenges are faced with faith rather than fear. This steady peace becomes a testimony to the power of God's presence, shaping the environment from the inside out. As time passes, the home becomes a beacon of hope in the lives of everyone who encounters it. Friends know they can come there for comfort. Family members feel welcome to share their hearts. Even strangers may sense something special they cannot put into words. The home becomes more than a shelter. It becomes a light in a weary world, a living example of what God can do when He is invited to dwell among His people. And through it all, the peace, healing, hope, and quiet miracles that take place become a reflection of God's faithfulness, touching lives in ways that linger long after visitors leave. The home stands as a steady reminder that where God dwells, peace reigns, hearts heal, and lives are changed. When a home welcomes the presence of God, it becomes something far greater than a place to live. It becomes a foundation where faith grows, hearts heal, and lives are strengthened day by day. Every room becomes a reminder that you are not walking this journey alone. Every moment becomes an opportunity to experience His peace, His protection, and His unwavering love. And as He fills your home, He fills your life with clarity in confusion, with hope in struggle, with joy in sorrow, and with strength in weakness. May your home never be defined by its size, its walls, or what it contains, but by the presence of the one who makes it a refuge, a sanctuary, and a wellspring of blessing. May every step you take within it remind you that God goes before you, stands beside you, and watches over you. And may your home forever shine with the light of His goodness, guiding you, comforting you, and covering you in peace that cannot be shaken.